My viewers know the YChart mug is usually up in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm always flying the YCharts flag.
Love it.
I get asked a lot if I work for you guys or if I have a commercial relationship, and I don't. I'm just such a big fan of the platform and how it can help advisors streamline their business. So I appreciate everything you guys do at YCharts, and you've come out with a new guide for advisors.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having us on the podcast. And thanks for, yeah, just saying good things out there publicly and for sharing some of the stuff that we put out there. And the goal, like you talked about, we just released a guide that's oriented at just helping advisors know how they can use some of the different tools and features we have and that we've built recently to help not just optimize clients' portfolios for tax advantage investing, but also to show clients what they're doing in those portfolios. Because we're big fans of Kitsis, and I myself listen to Kitsis and Carl. And I specifically remember several episodes that they've done where they've talked about how nowadays it's not just good enough to have good performance for clients, but with the age of technology and really just the advancement of financial awareness out there and everything from social media to the big media networks, people want to know what advisors are actually doing to help them. And so that's a lot of what we were trying to get at with the guide. And I think we're going to just dive into the guide a little bit here and do some hands-on kind of sharing.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I read the report and prep for this. It's a great walkthrough. I encourage advisors head over to ycharts.com, where there's links in not only the show notes but subtweets on Twitter where you can go and download this report. But Austin, why don't I turn it over to you and you can walk advisors through how they could leverage YCharts to accomplish this?
Yeah, sure. Let me, if it's okay, I'll just share the report at a high level, just so anybody listening or watching, we can set the context real quick, and then I'll do a demo directly on our platform, walking through some of the different scenarios that we talked about. So this is the report we're talking about, and we're not going to go through the whole thing again. Like Jay talked about, this is available for free to anybody, but there's a landing page where you put your email in and we'll email it to you. And then clients, especially, you can go right inside your account and get access to this. If you're a client and you have questions at how to get to this, we'll show you how, but also you can talk to your account manager and they'll point you in the right direction as well. Very hands-on. A couple of things covered in this guide overall, but again, really getting at how to visually show tax savings in this case, but you can do this using our scenarios tool with really any scenario you want to show them. But for this, we're talking about tax savings. So we're showing advisors how to show the work that they're doing for their clients, how to find tax efficient investments. It's funny, I was just listening to that last segment, and one of the people on the show were talking about, yeah, it's important to think about tax efficient investing, but you also don't want to just invest in junk either. There's ways you can look for what advisors might think are good opportunities, not just something that's tax efficient. How to build tax efficient strategies, presenting those strategies to a client or a prospect and using our report tool, and then taking advantage of tax loss harvesting, which is a common thing. I don't think we'll cover that on this because most advisors are going to know how to find investments that are maybe down for the year to offset some capital gains or something like that, and then different tools and support that we have. Jay, this again stemmed from our client communications and a survey that we did from advised people, but also from conversations that are happening out there in the industry. I talked about Kitsis and Carl, but basically we surveyed 671 clients of financial advisors to learn their preferences. And basically what this survey told us was that clients don't just want their advisors to help them grow their nest eggs, but they want to be more informed, like I talked about before. Left side is clients with 500K or less under management. Right side is 500K or more under management. And portfolio performance was really important to them. Accessibility and availability to the client was number 2 for the clients with 500K or more. And it was number 3 for clients with 500K or less. But then deep understanding of the client and their goals, again, was ranked number 3 on the right side. That's clients with more than 500K, and number 2 on the left side with clients with less than 500K. So the bottom line is that people care about portfolio performance, the advisor's accessibility, and then knowing that the advisor has a deep understanding of their goals. So again, what we're trying to do here is help advisors tackle those things and make sure that their clients know what value they're providing to them. And talked about a scenario, right? And this is probably a common conversation, a very common conversation that advisors have with clients. What type of account should they be investing in? And there's tax advantage accounts and then non-tax advantage accounts. So we just did a basic scenario, and we built out a scenario where somebody's investing either dollar cost averaging for 15 years into just a normal brokerage account with no tax benefits. And then we compared that against somebody that is doing the same thing, dollar cost averaging for 15 years, and then drawing down for 5 years in both of those scenarios in a Roth. And essentially, we just showed the difference that if you're an advisor listening to this, immediately in your mind, you can almost probably calculate what the difference would be if somebody were to use a tax advantaged account versus a normal brokerage or non-tax advantage account. But what I think was often forgotten or overlooked is the importance of showing that in a very easy way to understand visually to clients. And so that's what we've done with our scenario builder tool. And at the bottom, you see the graph here, and I'll go into it, but essentially you're showing a $75,000 difference over that time frame between using a Roth IRA and just a normal non-tax advantage account. And so then when you're having a discussion with clients over fees or what value you bring, that's a very tangible way to show with just one piece of your planning process and your strategy, you're offering a ton of value to clients. We'll jump to these, but this is just using our screener tool of how to find funds. We'll jump into the tool and go through how to look at some ways to find tax efficient investments, seeing dividend yield, what's the turnover ratio. We're trying to keep that tax burden low if we're not in a tax advantage account. So we'll get into that. Again, more of just the screener tool here. And then using our model portfolio tool, we are named YCharts. People, I think probably 8-9 years ago, maybe looked at YCharts as mostly a research tool and a charting tool. What we've really done over the past 5+ years now is really branch out into a full service platform for advisor communications. And that's good for everything from prospecting to communicating with current clients. And so our model portfolio tool is a great way to do that and to really dig down and see the specifics about investment strategies, about model portfolios. You can look into certain funds. We just showed how we can look at tax efficient investments or any investment using our model portfolio tool. So we'll jump into that as well. And then presentations, proposals, and reports. These again are built for advisors to use in communication with prospects or clients. And we've recently introduced talking points, which is a way you see it at the bottom of the graph here or of the PDF here. But now inside a proposal that you create, it's a custom report you can create for a client or a prospect. You can point out specific things like we just talked about, the differences in a tax adjusted return versus a non-tax adjusted return. Or if you wanted to show why you were recommending a certain fund to a client or a prospect, and you wanted to talk about the stock exposure versus bond exposure, you can call out these very specific things with talking points inside these proposals, which makes them feel very personalized for whoever you're reaching out to. Again, tax loss harvesting, won't go into detail with that. And we're very proud of the time and effort we put into our support. This report is an example of kind of the tools and resources that we provide. We're always trying to provide value to not only clients, but just advisors out there who may not be YCharts customers of ours. Again, a lot of these reports are free, but with clients, every single YCharts customer gets a dedicated account manager and a customer success representative. These people are located in our Chicago headquarters office, and they're available pretty much at any time. You get a link directly to your customer success manager if you need to schedule anything, if you have questions. We're all about support here at YCharts.
Austin, I can speak to that directly. James is my guy, and he responds same day, very well versed on the tool, able to help me to solve complex problems. And usually my problems come from my advisors asking me how to solve this problem or that problem. And James Hahn is right on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear. We'll let James work here for another day since you said that. No, James is awesome. Cool. Jay, this is the blog. This right here is free for anybody. So whether you're a YCharts customer or not, get.ycharts.com has all kinds of research and reports, visuals that we share, and anybody has access to this. So just wanted to show that. I think we'll probably share that out in the notes. This is the inside the tool. So if you're a customer and you're logged in and you go to support, you can go to insights and visuals. That'll bring you here. And this is where you get access to some of the stuff that just customers have access to. We've got a top 10 visuals deck for client and prospect meetings, all kinds of stuff, economic summaries, fund flows, monthly market wrap. Okay, getting into a demo of the tool and specifically how to do these tax efficient investing. So real quick, just if anybody you're at your dashboard and you don't know exactly how to set it up, there are some templates, and we do templates pretty much for everything to just help people get started. So you can pick from any of these templates and it'll set your dashboard up the way you want. So if you wanted to see US economy, you just create that. I've already got one created, which is why it's giving me that. But then I'll just click into here. There's a dashboard and it's going to give you, whenever you log in, if you cared about the US economy, if that's the type of things you're paying attention to, you have all of that right there. But let's get into the scenario builder. And the way you access this is going into tools and then scenarios. So I've pre-built some of these, but they're very quick. I just did it to be timely with this episode here. But if you go into scenario builder, it's pretty intuitive on the side, right? In the example, we used the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth Fund in that example that we talked about. And you can compare it to a benchmark, which I think we just used the S&P 500. But basically the scenario we did is we said, going back to 2003, if somebody had invested for 20 years and 15 of that was dollar cost averaging, and then the last 5 years they entered into retirement and started withdrawing, what would that look like in, again, that non-tax advantage account, just a normal brokerage versus a Roth IRA? And so that's the start date and the end date. We started with a $10,000 investment. And then this is where down below you can build your scenario. So I've pre-built these in, but it's very simple if you just wanted to add a scenario. So here, the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth, and this is my taxable example. We did monthly contributions of $500 from basically September 2003 to September 2018. You can see that right here. Each year, we're adding $6,000 to the portfolio, all the way up until 2017, basically. And then in 2018, you begin drawing down. And then the last part of the scenario is to start withdrawing. And this is where the difference comes in. And we said, and there's a lot of nuances to this, right? So everybody's situation is going to be different, but we just tried to say, hey, if that person entered retirement and they were at a 15%, in a 15% tax bracket, which we try to keep it on the low side, then if their cost of living was $5,000 a month, or that's what they needed to withdraw from this investment, then in order to pay the taxes on that, they would actually have to withdraw $5,882 a month to make up for the differences in the taxes they'd have to pay on that. And so that's where you see the drawdowns of 70,000, 70,000, 70,000, and 52 in 2023. And what that shows is that from the start, 2003, all the way until today, taking in the contributions and the withdrawals, the portfolio value, that investment value, would be at $141,974. And then what you can do is you can actually, so I saved this, so you can save that scenario, and then you build another scenario. And so this is where, if you're an advisor, this doesn't have to just be about taxes. This could be about anything that you wanted to show in a scenario using different funds, different contributions, different withdrawals. So now I built essentially the same scenario, same timeline and everything. The only difference I made is that during the withdrawals, we were saying you're withdrawing from a Roth. And so in order to get that $5,000 monthly requirement, you only need to withdraw $5,000 instead of $5,800 because you don't have that tax burden. And again, I'm not a tax expert here. There's a bunch of nuances to all this. So we just try to show a very simplified scenario. But at the end of the day, the difference that you can show without all those sort of the complicated intricacies that you might lose a client in is that, hey, if you went with the tax advantage, the Roth, you're going to end up after 5 years of withdrawals with $215,000 in that investment versus if you were in a taxable account, $141,000. And so right there, you're showing that $70,000 plus difference in those two scenarios. And again, this took me before the show about 10 minutes to build. And so as you do this more, you get faster with these things, and you can use the scenario builder to show pretty much anything, any scenario you want.
Yeah.
That's the scenario builder. The fund screener is very quick. If you're familiar with screeners, all I've done here is I've taken these, there's 66,000 funds, 67,000 funds. I filtered out anything that paid a dividend because, again, the goal here is tax efficient investments. When that's the case, you want your return to come from appreciation, not dividends. And not to say that this is not a dividend versus non-dividend argument. We're simply going with the most tax efficient investment possible. So that brings you down to 12,471. And then we want to keep that turnover ratio low, right? This is below 20%, which I believe means they're going to turn the entire portfolio over every 5 years. That brings you down to 2,838. And then you can using our metric columns down below. So this doesn't filter anything else out. It's just a way you can look and compare what you get from the screener. You can look at annualized tax adjusted monthly returns. And so I've sorted it from basically the top tax adjusted 20-year returns. And again, everyone knows past results are no promise of future returns, but that's how you can filter these different investment options from your screen down to find the ones that fit whatever specific goal you're going after. So that's the screener that we showcased. Model portfolios, very easy to
Austin,
build.
before you go to the model portfolios,
Sure.
real quick, a story from about 3 or 4 years ago. I had posted something about a challenge an advisor of mine was having with some muni bond funds, and just asked my audience, was probably on Twitter or LinkedIn, if they had any ideas. James called me within an hour and said, you can do this in YCharts, and walk me through what you were talking about. It's a really robust screening tool that really helps advisors solve problems.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jay. I guess James must have your Twitter on notification or something so you can see what's going on. Cool. Okay. Model portfolios. Again, this essentially just think about any strategy you want to show, you could put into a model portfolio. And the cool thing about it is once you save it, you can view your model portfolio just like any equity on the platform. So you get a quote page and it shows you everything you could ever want to know about the model portfolio. And then you can use that to build scenarios off of, to put into reports. And so this is just using a basic ETF model. This is a 60% equity model. I won't go, too in depth into this, but cool thing is very quickly, you can show the top 10 holdings in any model portfolio that you build. So for this one, since it's a 60% equity portfolio, it's using VTI, BND, VXUS, BNDX, and VMFXX, which is just a mixture of equities, bonds, fixed income. And then important thing for advisors as they're having different conversations is, especially with clients with different risk appetites and risk timelines, is the max drawdown, right? We want to know how reliable and how volatile are these different strategies. Max drawdown since inception for this has been 21.74%. And then getting into the report builder. So this is where we've started with a scenario, we've screened out and gotten to the investment options that we want. We've put them into a model portfolio, and then we want to build a report that we can use to send to prospects. A lot of advisors use our report building tools, our proposal tool, to show potentially what investments a prospect is. Maybe they're invested with somebody else. They can take a look at the investments that they already have and the expense ratio, the fees they might be paying, if it's in line with their individual situation, their retirement scenario. And then they can compare essentially a competitor's strategy that they're currently invested in with what they would do for the prospect, and show them maybe they're a lot cheaper on fees, there's less turnover, they're better for taxes, all these different things, and compare things side by side using our report tool. It's a very popular way people use our proposal tool. But essentially, you can put all the work that you've done into a nice PDF that's customized, and you can point out those specific talking points we were talking about, and then showcase that scenario that you talked about. And so this is just a quick example of a one-pager of what that would look like. And again, you can make these as short or as long as you'd like. But using that Fidelity blue chip growth scenario that we showed, taxable versus Roth account, you can see the differences in the options that you talk to a client about. And then using our talking points, you can show sort of the differences, and these are customizable. So I just use tax adjusted returns and then stock allocation. You could basically put any number of different things in here that you wanted to call out to show them exactly why you made these recommendations for them in a quick PDF that you could either print out and give to them or email to them, or however you wanted to deliver that. And so that's really it, Jay. I hope this was helpful. Happy to talk about it a little more, discuss anything, or if anybody wanted to reach out, my email is a.liberman@ycharts.com.
Excellent. You did a great job walking through the report and then the YChart platform and how advisors could use it. I got to tell you, the speed at which your development team brings out new resources to advisors is incredible. I love the new talking point functionality that you have. Model portfolios has been a staple of my consulting business working with advisors because you guys make it easy, and not in conjunction with your marketing team. But when I talk to advisors, I say, here's the 3 reasons this could fit in your tech stack, especially if you're a breakaway advisor that's used to having the internal resources inside of your wirehouse, is the portfolio proposal tool, the model management, and then the client communications. Because once you go independent, you get to change the way you communicate with your clients, and YCharts is a best-in-class platform to do it. Austin, I appreciate you coming on. We'll have links to the report in the show notes. You'll find it on social media. And if you're not on YCharts yet, make sure that you go and grab a free trial. YCharts.com.